Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into,
A story of resilience.
yeah, and
Shit.
community and some ambitious plans for the future. We're looking at a final report from December 2017
Okay.
for the East Baltimore Revitalization Project. In this document,
Mm.
it's less of a dry report and more like a treasure map, I'd say. It charts out how a community led by not one,
Oh, wow.
not two, but five churches is tackling issues like poverty, vacant properties, and crime.
It really is a remarkable example of what can happen when faith-based initiatives kind of take the lead in rebuilding their own neighborhoods.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not just talking about lofty goals here.
Hmm.
This plan, spearheaded by the Southern Baptist Church and the architectural firm Ayers Saint Gross,
Right.
is rooted in action and a deep understanding of the community's history.
You really have to understand the context here.
Yeah.
East Baltimore has weathered, decades of industrial population loss.
Yeah.
Even the riots in 1968, the report itself refers to it as a neighborhood without help. But that phrase, while stark,
Yeah.
also reveals this powerful truth.
Okay.
This community has learned to rely on its own strength and resilience.
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying, we've been through a lot, but we're still here and we're ready to rebuild.
That's a great way to put it. And the driving force behind this rebuilding effort.
Yeah.
5 churches: Southern Baptist, Israel Baptist, United Baptist, Greater Gethsemane Baptist,
Wow.
and Ark Church. Imagine the kind of collective power and influence that brings to the table.
Yeah, and they didn't just appear overnight.
Ah,
This has been a labor of love for over 15 years.
wow.
They strategically acquired 22 acres of property in the neighborhood piece by piece,
Wow.
demonstrating a long-term commitment to revitalization.
It's an impressive feat, but it hasn't been without its setbacks. Think back to the Mary Harvin Transformation Center,
Right.
a shining example of this collaborative effort.
Yeah.
It provided much-needed senior housing and community space until it was tragically set on fire during the Freddie Gray unrest in 2015.
Yeah, that was a devastating blow, no doubt. But out of that tragedy came a moment of profound connection. Reverend Dante Hickman
Right.
from Southern Baptist Church wrote a powerful op-ed in the Baltimore Sun,
Oh, wow.
pouring out his heart about the community's pain and hopes for the future.
And that op-ed had a ripple effect. It reached the desk of Johns Hopkins University President Ron Daniels.
Really?
And he was so moved that he personally reached out to Reverend Hickman.
Now think about this for a moment. The president of a prestigious university, deeply touched by the words of a pastor from a struggling neighborhood.
Daniels joined Hickman on a tour of East Baltimore, witnessing firsthand the church's unwavering commitment to its community.
Wow.
That visit was a turning point.
Yeah.
It sparked a partnership between Johns Hopkins and the churches, a collaboration that would ultimately lead to this incredible master plan we're exploring today.
What strikes me is that this wasn't just Johns Hopkins swooping in with a plan crafted in an ivory tower. They understood that real change comes from the ground up.
Absolutely. They knew that the community itself held the key to its own revitalization. So they embarked on this 3-stage process of community engagement.
Okay.
They started with kickoff meetings to gather input,
Right.
giving residents a platform to voice their needs and desires. Then came a truly unique element: the design charrette.
Okay, so charrette might sound like some kind of fancy French pastry, but in the world of urban planning, it's something entirely different, isn't it?
You're right, it's not a dessert. Imagine this.
Okay.
Residents from East Baltimore coming together not just to give feedback, but to actually become urban planners for a day.
Wow.
They learned about planning concepts, use icons and maps to visualize their ideal neighborhood, and actively design the future they wanted to see.
Wow.
It's a powerful way to give the community a tangible stake in the process.
It sounds like they were given the tools to say, this is our neighborhood and this is how we want it to look and feel.
Precisely. And the plan that emerged from this collaborative process is anchored in these 3 core themes: empower the people, rebuild the place, and enliven the programs.
Okay. These themes are woven throughout the entire document, guiding every recommendation and decision.
So we've got a community with a rich history and a strong sense of self-reliance. We've got a coalition of churches with a deep-rooted commitment to their neighborhood. We've got a university partnering with residents to create a shared vision for the future. Now let's dive into the specifics of this master plan and see what kind of transformation they're envisioning for East Baltimore.
Let's start by looking at how they plan to connect Johns Hopkins, Homewood, and medical campuses through a green network. You see, they identified this area as a missing link in the connection between these 2 vibrant hubs.
So what exactly does a green network mean in this context? Are we talking about parks, bike paths, or something else entirely?
Think of it as a revitalized corridor, a ribbon of green running through the heart of East Baltimore. Picture tree-lined streets inviting walkways, bike lanes, and vibrant public spaces where people can gather and connect. This green network isn't just about beautification, it's about improving the quality of life for everyone who lives and works in the area.
It sounds like they're trying to create a space where nature and community can thrive together.
Right.
And the report specifically mentions Chester Street as a prime location for this transformation.
That's right. Chester Street, with its high vacancy rates, represents a blank canvas for revitalization. The plan envisions new housing, thriving retail spaces, and a revitalized streetscape that invites people to stroll, shop, and connect with their neighbors.
It's like they're saying, let's take this street that's been struggling and turn it into a vibrant artery for the entire community.
And they don't stop there. They've also identified other key corridors for revitalization: Washington Street, Patterson Park Avenue, Gay Street. Each street has its own unique character and potential, and the plan tailors its recommendations accordingly.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They're
No.
really taking a nuanced look at each area and what it needs to thrive.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that the 5 churches each have their own individual goals for community improvement. How do those fit into the larger picture?
That's where it gets really interesting. The churches, while united in their vision for a revitalized East Baltimore, each bring their own passions and priorities to the table. Ark Church, for example, has a deep desire to bring a much-needed supermarket to the neighborhood. Israel Baptist Church emphasizes job creation as a cornerstone of its mission, and Southern Baptist Church is committed to expanding its community services and housing initiatives.
So it's a beautiful mosaic with each church contributing its own unique color and texture to the overall masterpiece.
Exactly, and these individual passions are woven into the fabric of the larger planning area recommendations. The report emphasizes the importance of strategic, large-scale development along these key corridors, but in a way that minimizes displacement of existing residents. It's about revitalization without gentrification, creating opportunities for everyone.
That's a crucial point. It's not just about shiny new buildings. It's about ensuring that the people who have called East Baltimore home for generations can also share in the benefits of this transformation.
And speaking of sharing benefits, the plan doesn't just focus on the physical aspects of revitalization. It delves deeply into the social and economic fabric of the community as well. They recognize that true revitalization goes beyond bricks and mortar. It's about empowering people, providing them with the resources and opportunities they need to thrive.
That makes a lot of sense. So how does the plan translate these social and economic goals into concrete actions? What kind of programs or initiatives are they proposing?
Well, one of the key elements is the creation of a wellness center.
Okay.
Imagine a one-stop shop for community health services,
Right.
job training and family support programs,
Right.
all under one roof and easily accessible to residents.
Right.
They even suggest partnering with Johns Hopkins
Okay.
to leverage their expertise and resources.
So it's not just about treating illnesses. It's about promoting overall well-being,
Yeah.
but providing the support systems that families need to flourish.
Exactly. And they don't stop there. They also address the issue of safety and community policing. The plan proposes relocating the Eastern District Police Station right into the heart of the neighborhood.
That's an interesting idea. What kind of impact would that have?
Well, it creates a more visible police presence,
Right.
but it also goes beyond that. By embedding the police station within the community, they aim to foster trust and collaboration between law enforcement and residents.
It's about breaking down barriers and creating a sense of shared responsibility for safety, right?
Precisely. And they're not forgetting about the younger generation. They propose a really innovative idea, creating a recreation and social hub inspired by the Ark in Washington, D.C. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't, but I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The Ark is a phenomenal organization that provides a wide range of programs and support services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Okay.
This proposed hub in East Baltimore would take inspiration from that model,
Right.
offering a safe and engaging space for youth of all abilities to connect, learn, and grow.
So it's about creating a sense of belonging and providing opportunities for young people to develop their full potential regardless of their background or abilities.
Exactly. And this commitment to inclusivity extends to their approach to housing as well.
Hmm.
They even suggest prioritizing residents from a particularly struggling block for placement in newly renovated housing.
Wow.
It's a direct way to ensure that those who have been most affected by the neighborhood's challenges benefit from the revitalization efforts.
It's like they're saying, we're not leaving anyone behind. everyone deserves a chance to thrive in this revitalized East Baltimore.
Now let's talk about the nitty-gritty details of how they plan to revitalize the physical spaces within the study area. They have some really interesting recommendations when it comes to urban form.
Okay, break it down for us. What exactly do they mean by urban form?
Think of it as the shape and structure of the neighborhood.
Right.
They propose focusing development efforts along highly vacant corridors. This allows them to achieve a few things. First, it minimizes displacement of existing residents because they're not building on occupied land. Second, it concentrates development in areas that need it the most. And third, it creates opportunities for larger scale projects that can have a greater impact.
So instead of scattered piecemeal development, they're advocating for a more strategic, concentrated approach. And what kind of buildings are they envisioning along these corridors?
They're not just thinking about housing, they're promoting mixed use development. Imagine walking down Chester Street and seeing vibrant ground floor retail spaces,
Right?
maybe a local coffee shop, a bookstore, or a small grocery store with apartments or condos above.
All right.
This creates a bustling street life and a sense of community while also providing much-needed amenities for residents.
It sounds like they're trying to bring back that classic urban neighborhood feel where you can live, work, and play all within walking distance.
Exactly. And they're not just thinking about new construction. They also see the potential in revitalizing existing structures.
Hmm.
Remember that old theater on Washington Street we mentioned earlier?
The one that's been sitting vacant for years.
That's the one. They propose transforming it into a vibrant hub for small businesses, local food vendors, and community events. Imagine something like Our House in Remington, but with its own unique East Baltimore flavor.
I love that idea. It's about taking these spaces that have been neglected and breathing new life into them, making them centers of community activity and economic opportunity.
And speaking of economic opportunity, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges facing East Baltimore job creation.
Right, because all these revitalization efforts won't mean much if people don't have access to good-paying jobs. So how does the plan address this critical issue?
They have a multi-pronged approach. First, they propose targeting specific industries that are known for creating jobs, maybe light manufacturing tech companies or even a federal agency. They want to attract businesses that will bring employment opportunities directly to the community.
So it's about being proactive and strategic in their economic development efforts, not just hoping that jobs will magically appear.
Exactly. And they don't stop there. They also recognize the importance of job training and workforce development. They propose expanding existing programs and partnering with organizations like Humanum, which has a proven track record of helping individuals develop the skills they need to succeed in today's job market.
So it's not just about bringing jobs to the neighborhood. It's also about equipping residents with the tools they need to compete for those jobs.
And they take a holistic view of workforce development. They understand that access to transportation is critical.
Right.
They propose improving public transportation options to connect residents with job centers outside the neighborhood, ensuring that they have access to a wider range of opportunities.
It's about removing barriers and opening doors for residents to pursue their career aspirations both within and beyond East Baltimore.
Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that might seem counterintuitive when discussing revitalization strategic demolition.
I was just thinking about that. It seems odd to talk about tearing things down when we're talking about rebuilding a community.
It might seem counterintuitive, but it's actually a crucial part of the plan. They're not talking about widespread demolition. They're advocating for a very targeted approach.
So what kind of properties are they targeting for demolition?
They're focusing on properties that are severely blighted and beyond repair. These vacant, dilapidated structures are not only eyesores, but they can also pose safety hazards and drag down property values for the entire neighborhood.
So it's about removing these negative elements to create space for new development and positive change.
Precisely. And they don't just stop at demolition. They also have plans for greening these vacant lots and alleys.
Okay, so we're not just talking about empty spaces. We're talking about transforming these blighted areas into something beautiful and beneficial for the community.
You got it. They propose creating small parks, community gardens, or even just green spaces that improve the aesthetic appeal of the neighborhood and provide residents with access to nature.
It's like turning scars into opportunities for growth and renewal.
And they even suggest paying residents or the community association to maintain these green spaces, providing a source of income and fostering a sense of ownership and pride within the community.
So it's a win-win situation. It improves the environment, creates economic opportunities, and empowers residents to take an active role in beautifying their neighborhood.
And all of this is done with a focus on creating a safer, healthier, and more vibrant environment for everyone in East Baltimore. They are really thinking holistically about the physical, social, and economic well-being of the community.
It's an impressive plan, that's for sure. But plans are just words on paper unless they're put into action. Is there any evidence that this vision is actually being translated into reality?
There is. The report highlights some early wins. The Southern Baptist Church is already pursuing new housing projects,
Oh, wow.
and there's movement on both the wellness center and the police station relocation. It's clear that they're not just talking about change, they're making it happen.
It's inspiring to see their commitment and determination to turn this vision into a reality.
Yeah.
But I have to wonder, what are the key takeaways from this plan? What makes it so compelling, and what can other communities learn from their approach?
Well, one of the most striking aspects is the depth of community engagement.
Yeah.
They didn't just impose a plan on residents, they empowered them to shape their own future.
Hmm.
The design share it is a perfect example of that. It allowed residents to not just give feedback, but to actively participate in the design process, ensuring that the plan truly reflects the community's needs and desires.
And then there's the power of collaboration. We see it in the partnership between the churches, Johns Hopkins University, and the design firm. Each entity brought its unique strengths and resources to the table, creating a synergy that wouldn't have been possible if they'd worked in isolation.
Exactly. It's a beautiful example of how diverse stakeholders can come together with a shared vision and achieve extraordinary results.
And let's not forget the holistic nature of the plan.
Mm.
They're not just thinking about physical infrastructure or economic development in isolation. They're addressing the social and human aspects of revitalization as well.
They recognize that true community transformation requires addressing the needs of the whole person, from their physical health and safety to their economic opportunities and social connections.
It's about creating a community where everyone feels valued, supported, and empowered to thrive.
Precisely. And this leads us to another key takeaway: the importance of a long-term vision and a deep understanding of the community's history and context. They didn't just come in with these preconceived notions about what the community needed.
Right.
They took the time to listen, to learn from residents' experiences, and to understand the deep-rooted challenges and opportunities that have shaped East Baltimore's history.
And that's what sets this plan apart, isn't it? It's not just about fixing what's broken. It's about creating something truly transformative.
Exactly. It's about building a community where everyone feels a sense of belonging, where they have the resources and opportunities they need to thrive, and where their voices are heard and valued.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power of community-driven revitalization. It's not just about fancy buildings and economic development. It's about people, their aspirations, and their deep connection to the place they call home.
And it's about recognizing the assets that already exist within a community. The churches in East Baltimore, with their long history of service and their deep understanding of the neighborhood's needs, were instrumental in driving this transformation.
So what does this all mean for you, our listeners? What can you take away from this exploration of the East Baltimore Revitalization Project?
Well, whether you're a community activist, a policymaker, or simply someone who cares about creating positive change in your own neighborhood, this plan offers a wealth of insights.
Yeah.
It shows the power of listening to the community, of forging collaborative partnerships, and of taking a holistic approach that addresses both the physical and social dimensions of revitalization.
It's a reminder that real change is possible even in communities that have faced decades of challenges. And it starts with a shared vision, a willingness to work together, and a belief in the power of people to shape their own destinies.
So as you go about your day-to-day, take a moment to think about your own community.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that you see? What are the assets that can be leveraged for positive change? And how can you get involved in shaping a brighter future for yourself and your neighbors?
Remember, every great transformation begins with a single step. Maybe this deep dive has inspired you to take that step to become an agent of change in your own community. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of the East Baltimore Revitalization Project, a story of resilience, hope, and the power of community to create a better future. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those minds engaged.